It's been a week of heavyweights here in London. On Wednesday, David Haye, the WBA champion from Bermondsey, launched his app for all Apple products. Lennox Lewis never even had a boot sponsor. Anyway, the smartphone function will, amongst many things, allow fans to ask David a question directly, which he says he will answer personally. He will. He drives Adam Booth, his business partner, manager and trainer, absolutely mad because he's always replying to fans on various social networks. But with his magazines, his apps, the website and trips out and about, what does Haye say to those who may question the fact that his focus is not entirely on the up-and-coming fight? Well, I sent out BBC London 94.9's Phil Parry to ask the questions.
Yeah, definitely. The focus has got to be in training. You know, if I was focused on the fight right now or between training sessions, I'll be exhausted by the time the fight comes around. So what I do is when it comes time to train, I switch off and I focus on the fight itself. You know, once the training's finished, the training's finished. I then got to eat, I've got to sleep, I've got to recover. And that time of recovering, you know, it's, how hard is it to, instead of, you know, I get 1,000,001 text messages from people that I find time to respond to, why not try to respond to some fans who want to know something? It takes me 30 seconds to write a response to a message to a fan asking me, you know, who my favourite boxer is, asking me what I had for breakfast, whatever they want to know. They can send me, it pops through to my phone, and it's not inconvenient for me to write it, you know, to write a quick message to them, and it means a lot to them.
So it doesn't take your eye off the ball of actually preparing for a fight?
Nothing at all. You know, I've figured out a way, you know, over the years to focus, and I find by focusing 100% while I'm training and literally switching off when I'm not, it just keeps my brain fresh for when I do go back to the gym. If I'm thinking all throughout the day about jabs and slipping jabs, I'll be mentally fatigued by the time it comes to do my next training session. And by having other stuff to focus on, I find it actually helps me. Actually makes me a better boxer.
3.5 weeks then to the orderly fight. I mean, what shape are you in? How is training progressing?
Training's going great. It's gone a lot better than my training camp had gone for my last fight against John Ruiz when I defended the WBA championship against a former two-time heavyweight champion. My training for that was very sort of the sparring, for instance, was cut short. I got a big cut over my eye with a cut, so I wasn't able to spar. So sparring is a massive part of my training, and to take that part out of it, all I had to rely on was just my fitness and my natural talent. And ideally, you don't really want to do that, particularly against a big, tall, accurate southpaw. You know, you need to make sure your timing's on point, because all it takes from these big guys is one shot, and that could change the dynamics of the fight. So I'm fortunate for this fight that training has gone smoother. I'm healthy, no injuries, so I'm just happy. I'm happy with where I am at the moment, and I'm just looking forward to November 13th. You know, the fight's in 3D as well, which is the first live boxing match in 3D, which is huge. And I've watched Avatar and all these 3D movies, and it completely changes how you see a boxing match. It will feel like, you know, Aldi Harrison's going to be laid out in your front room.
And talking of which, I mean, word coming out of his altitude training camp, he's looking in very good shape. He's looking very focused. Are you concerned about those word that's coming out?
I'm hoping the rumours are true. You know, because if he comes the same old ordinary Harrison, he's going to get knocked out in about 20 seconds. But I'm hoping that he's better than ever. I hope he's focused. I hope he's fit. I hope he's, you know, healthy. Because if he isn't, it's going to be very insane. I'm just hoping that the word around the campfire is he's in better shape than ever. He's got a good coach. You know, his coach believes that, you know, he's got the technical ability to beat me. He thinks he's got the pedigree. You know, he thinks he's a better coach than my coach. So great. I'm hoping they're all telling the truth, because at least then you give the paying punters a couple of rounds of entertainment before he gets stretched out.
From your point of view, obviously, this is going to put to bed quite a lot of, you know, sort of animosity that's built up. Is genuine animosity as well? Because some people will look at it and say, well, it's just, you know what boxing's like. People go, oh, you know, are they just staging this? But this is genuine. Yeah,
definitely. You know, we haven't crossed paths for a long time. He's said some things in the past in public, you know, that I've strongly disagreed with. You know, he's disrespected me. You know, he's sort of belittled my achievements, my huge achievements. And I'm the first ever boxer who's won the cruiserweight championship and the heavyweight championship. You know, the only other guy is Evander Holyfield. You know, a lot of people have tried and a lot of people have failed. And I'm one of the two fighters who've actually managed to achieve that. But I've never got any credit from him. You know, and I'd like to. He doesn't believe I'm as good as I think I am. He thinks I'm too big-headed. He thinks that, you know, I'm all talk. I've got no technique. This is a chance to prove me right. You know, it's one thing saying it, is another thing doing it, and I know that I've got what it takes to not only beat him but absolutely humiliate him in that ring, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
So after this, I mean, the aim is, you know, when you're victorious, that's your own move forward. But you've got less than a year now before you carry through your retirement. You want a Klitschko between now and now.
Without a doubt, at least one. You know, ideally two, but with the politics of the game, it might be a bit difficult. But that's what I'm aiming for. You know, I said I'm going to unify the titles, and that's what I'm going to do.
And there's talk that they've offered a 50-50, but 50-50 why is it not actually what it seems?
Is one thing saying something, is one thing offering something, is another thing when it comes to the people who do the negotiating, when it comes to actually putting it on a contract. Anyone can say, I've offered you 50-50, but you think, okay, send a contract over, and it resembles nothing like that. And that's what the problem is at the moment. You know, they're saying one thing, but it doesn't bother me. You know, I'm going to carry on in my career. I'm going to keep doing things. It doesn't bug me. They can say whatever they want to say, because they're going to have to come to the table and talk sense. Because, as I said, I'm retiring in a year, and they've got I've had my defining fight. You know, I've had the fight against Nikolai Valuev that, you know, everybody saw. You know, how many people of the British public can say they've seen Vitaly Klitschko or Vladimir Klitschko have a defining fight? The only one they could pick out would be the one against Lennox Lewis, which Vitaly lost. That's the only fight that people have seen. All the other ones have just been him beating up on the likes of Shannon Briggs and one Carlos Gomez or Sultan Ibragimov or some just random names that nobody knows. So the only fight they can make out there that's going to make him any money, and that's going to stick for their legacy, is fighting me. So they're going to have to come to the table and talk sense. I'm not fussed about it. I'm not worried, because I know they'll come to the table and talk sense.
You think they will? I mean, obviously, you're not going to extend your deadline. Before I'm 32.
My deadline's my deadline, and they're going to need to pull their finger out.
What's the reason? I know you've said it a long time now. You know, it's not something that you just cropped up within the last week or so. Why before you're 31?
20 years. I believe I can achieve all my goals in 20 years of boxing. 20 years is a long time. I started competing when I was 10, and I walked into a gym when I was 10. And you know, get out before I'm 31. That's 20 years, and I think, you know, I've achieved. You know, you can keep going on and on. I've seen boxers over the years say, yeah, one more year, 48, 49, fighting on. It's, you know, talking. You know, their speech has been really badly deteriorating slowly but surely. See the old punch drunk syndrome kick in. I'd hate to be one of those fighters. That for me, that would mean a job not very well done. You know, I said when I got into the game, myself and Adam Booth sat down, I said the three things we wanted to do was achieve as much as humanly possible, win as many titles, leave as much of a legacy as you can, you know, make as much money en route to doing that, and get out with your faculties intact. And so far we've been doing okay.
And what do you sort of feel about Derek Chisora going in against Vladimir in what is a month after your fight, isn't it? So, I mean, 14 fights into his career, is it too early? Would you have taken that sort of fight at that level?
After 14 fights, you know, I think my 15th fight, I fought Alexander Gura for the European title. You know, first off, I wasn't in a position to fight for that title, and there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And I think in my 14th fight, I would have lost if I'd have fought Jean-Marc Mormec for the title. I wasn't physically or mentally ready to win that title in my 14th fight. Yeah. Although I would have wanted the fight, and I probably would have signed to take the fight, I know, looking back, I wasn't ready then. You know, it took me winning the European title, it took me defending it 3 times to then get accustomed to fighting tough guys over 12 rounds. You know, he hasn't had that, you know, and it's only in hindsight that I realised that the way I'd done it was the right way to do it. You know, having them tough European title defences, you know, against mandatories, against guys who were unbeaten. You know, Ulasso Hansen was unbeaten. You know, Jacob Fragomeni, who then went on to win the WBC title, he was unbeaten when I fought him. So I had these fights before I fought for the cruiserweight championship against Jean-Marc Mormec. But they're the fights that allowed me to have the experience to get through that fight. I got knocked down when I fought for the title, but you know, I knew that, you know, I was a 12-round fighter, and I got the confidence from my performances in the ring, not, you know, from sparring or in the gym.
Would you give him a chance?
A very, very slim chance. A very slim chance. You know, he hasn't. When you talk to people who bet on boxing, you can only go by what someone's done in the ring. It's one thing. Someone can have all the potential and all the physical attributes they want, but unless they've done it time and time again in the ring, how are you supposed to do it when the chips are down? He's going to be expected to do something he's never done before. It's like asking a runner who's never run under 11 seconds to race Usain Bolt. And say, okay, well, but they say, okay, I can do it physically. I know I can do it. But unless they've run them times, how can you have any confidence? And he hasn't. In terms of boxing, in terms of if the world class sprinter is running under 10 seconds, I think any world class sprinters can run under 10 seconds. Someone in the top of their game could go under 10 seconds. I don't think he's run in the 10-second bracket yet. Maybe potentially I think he could do, but at the moment he's running around 11 seconds. In terms, if you put boxing, sprinting terms.
David Haye there with a little Usain Bolt mention. His WBA heavyweight title fight with 2000 Olympic gold medalist and his former best friend Audley Harrison will be live on Sky on November the 13th. And there are, I'm told, literally 1 or 2 tickets left at the MEN in Manchester.